The hope is that this is the beginning of Gaza rebuilt and a brutal war coming to a close. In the centre of the Strip, dozens of bulldozers from Egypt start work on what's being described as one of the largest temporary camps for displaced people ever built. The rebuilding of Gaza is part of the Trump peace plan, but first the release of Israeli hostages by Hamas has to happen, along with so much else. So all eyes turn to what's happening a few hundred miles from here in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. The Hamas delegation is led by Khalil al-Hayya, one of the senior Hamas officials targeted in Israel's botched strike on Doha last month. The head of the Israeli team will be Ron Dermer, the Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs. Although he hasn't yet arrived, he'll be joined by Israeli intelligence and security chiefs. From the US, the big negotiating beasts, Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's eyes, ears and son-in-law Jared Kushner. They're also expected later in the week and won't directly participate in talks with Hamas until more technical details have been ironed out. Also key to the talks, the delegations from Arab countries, including people like the Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. The sun has set on day one of these talks. The senior US and Israeli envoys won't arrive until some of the more technical details are nailed down. But their arrival later in the week could at least signal some sort of progress in itself. And by technical details, we mean things like these. The logistics involve Hamas locating the bodies of the deceased hostages, for example. It has been reported that this process has begun. The lines to which Israeli troops will have to withdraw to within Gaza while the release of living hostages takes place. And the extent to which Hamas will or will not put on a display of militancy when they let the hostages go, as they've done before. From southern Israel, Gaza's skyline, 10 Gazans were killed today, and somewhere inside, Israeli hostages still in captivity. There are 48 hostages still being held inside Gaza. 20 of those are alive. And you have to wonder on a day like this what is going through their hearts and minds. Have they been informed by their captors of a would-be deal? Are they being somehow prepared for their possible release? In central Gaza, it's Masr Sakar's birthday tomorrow, the 7th of October. She'll be 2. Born on the day Hamas attacked Israel, a lifetime of war. Her mother and father have tried to create consistency despite the constant displacement. Rola Sakar worries that the war has stunted her daughter's development.
البنت يعني عاشت من أول يوم لحتى الآن في حروب أكيد تغير يعني صارت أول ما تشوف الطيارة أو تسمع الطيارة خلاص إن هذه الطيارة بدها تقصف هذه الطيارة بدها ترمي هذه الطيارة مثلا يعني البنت مش زي مثلا الأطفال بيلعبوا هيك صاروا خلاص أول ما يسمع صوت الطيارة يشردوا يتخبوا في حضورنا أكيد هذا السلوك غير شخصيتها وغير حياتها يعني مش هتنساه مثلا بيوم وليلة حيضلوا بذاكرتها يعني مدى الحياة.
Now this family's future, along with that of so many others, literally in the hands of the negotiators.
Well, at a White House briefing in the last hour, the president's press secretary has reiterated that Mr. Trump wants the talks on his peace deal to lead to concrete results as soon as possible. Our US editor, Anushka Astana, joins us from the White House. Now, Anushka, progress this week depends on Trump's ability to force Netanyahu into a deal. Is the pressure still on?
Yeah, the pressure is certainly still on, and I think that relationship between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu is absolutely key to this. Just a week ago today, I stood here when Benjamin Netanyahu came to visit the president. It was his 4th visit here to the White House this year. Israel is still incredibly important to this White House. Donald Trump, in his first presidency. He actually said he was the most pro-Israeli president in history. I think in some ways you could argue that stalled progress towards peace because, as one expert put to me, there hadn't been a single cost or consequence from the US imposed on Israel during this invasion. But things have changed. Israel is in a much more isolated position right now. Just an example of that, when Benjamin Netanyahu flew to New York for the UN General Assembly, he avoided Spanish and French airspace because of his indictment by the International Criminal Court. And so Donald Trump is in a more strong position to persuade him. And also, he's shown himself to be a more erratic, perhaps, president, certainly someone who loses his temper. Remember in June when he had expletives for both Iran and Israel when there were tensions between them. I'll give you the clean version. He said neither of them knew what the hell they were doing. Well, on Friday, after Hamas responded to this peace plan that the Americans have put forward, there was a phone call with Benjamin Netanyahu where the president said to him, stop being so effing negative all the time. And he later said in an interview to Axios that Benjamin Netanyahu has to be fine with this because he has to be fine with whatever I say. Now, Caroline Levitt, the press secretary, has been speaking about this. She's very positive about the technical talks, about moving towards a ceasefire, moving towards the idea of hostages being released. But when asked about the possibility of a Palestinian state in the future, not quite the same. Listen to what she said.
Look, I don't want to get ahead of the technical talks right now, Michael. They're extremely sensitive. They're taking place, again, as we speak, and there's a lot of, there's many things to discuss, of course. This is, hopefully, we expect and we hope, going to be one of the greatest peace deals this world has ever seen. And the Trump administration is working diligently and working very hard to get there. And as I said, Friday, all terms agreed. We have the Arab countries who are working with us. Of course, Israel has been incredible in cooperating with the president's plan and agreeing to it. And we're very hopeful, and we expect that to continue.
And so very positive about the first stage of this, but lots of thorny issues that could come beyond it.
Thanks, Anushka. Well, earlier I spoke to the former Israeli Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, and I asked him if Netanyahu could be trusted to stick to the plan.
It depends on one person, Donald J. Trump. If he will decide that it has to end, it will end. There were certain things that he did which were admirable and remarkable and must be respected and appreciated. He, number one, forced Netanyahu to apologize to the Qataris, then also made an announcement a couple of days ago that Israel should stop the attacks in Gaza. If he will make sure that it happens and he has the power to enforce it, then possibly we are on the brink of a positive development.
Do you think these are peace talks or just ceasefire talks?
No, they're not peace talks. What peace? No one talks about peace. I mean, it's not serious. Let's do what is possible, which is to end the war, to bring back all the hostages, to build up a security force that will take control, effective control, a military control of Gaza in order to make sure that Hamas is in no position to return into any position of dominance.
I mean, so is the question of the Palestinian statehood on anybody's agenda in Israel, realistically?
On my agenda, and on the agenda of, I believe, quite a few Israelis, but not on the government's agenda. The creation of a Palestinian state is not a present to the Palestinians and is not a punishment to the state of Israel. This is the interest of the state of Israel. The creation of a Palestinian state we need just as much as they need, because only a separation and a recognition of their rights for sovereignty and independence will start a process of reconciliation, which is essential for the atmosphere of peace. I don't lose hope. It is still possible and practical and doable.
And if this opportunity to bring the hostages home is lost, who will Israelis blame?
There is only one reason why they are not already here. It's because the Prime Minister of Israel didn't want to bring them back.
In terms of keeping the president engaged, How important do you think the Nobel Prize is? I mean, if you were advising the committee, would you say, actually, this is part of the process?
Listen, look, I want to give President Trump a credit. What are his motivations? I don't know. But if he will change things, and if there will be an agreement to end the war, and if this will become the first step in a process of negotiations for a comprehensive political solution on the basis of two states, he will definitely deserve recognition by whoever is giving prizes for good people.
I mean, what about the question of accountability? Is there ever going to be accountability in Israel, do you think, for what has happened over the last 2 years?
Definitely. First of all, there will be an historical accountability. Netanyahu will be withdrawn to the sideline of history for his failures, for his omissions, for his arrogance, for his overconfidence, for his lack of human sensitivity, not only to the Palestinians, but first and foremost to the Israelis. The polarization within the state of Israel is certainly something that will not be forgotten and will not be forgiven. What will be also the political ramifications remains to be seen. I believe that in the next elections, the outcome will be decisive against Netanyahu, but we need to bring them as soon as possible.
Are you hopeful that this is a historic week?
I'm hopeful that this is the beginning of something that may prove to be historic.
Ehud Olmert, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, security sources in Sharm el-Sheikh are also already coming out with some of the early sticking points in these talks, including Hamas's request that all 285 prisoners sentenced to life imprisonment should be released, which Israel is rejecting and is sticking to 250 without key names. I mean, you know, Hamas will be looking for people like Marwan Barghouti to also be released, and that is not being confirmed at this stage. Joining me now is the Palestinian politician and activist Aida Suleiman. She's one of Israel's 2 million Arab citizens and a member of the parliament, the Knesset, for the left-wing Hadash coalition. Do you believe this is a momentous week? Do you believe it's going to happen?
Well, let's hope it's going to happen. I have my reservations. We have seen ourselves very close to really a ceasefire and maybe freeing the hostages many times, and there was, and then it failed. I hope this time it looks like it's more serious. The people who were till now an obstacle, like Netanyahu, he looks like he is enforced to go to this deal.
What do you want the international community to do to allay the Palestinian suspicion that it's a ceasefire now, the hostages are released, and then everything starts again?
Well, first of all, let's say that there is a ceasefire. I think the international community should not stand by and look at what's happening. They need to continue to be involved in putting pressure, first of all, for ceasefire, freeing all hostages from both sides, and then withdrawal of the Israeli army from Gaza.
When you say hostages from both sides, do you mean the prisoners?
The prisoners. Yes.
And the prisoners.
Yes.
So what do you mean by Palestinian hostages? Do you mean the people who have been arrested and just locked up without trial?
Yes, of course. There are thousands of Palestinians who are kidnapped from their houses under administrative orders with no trial, with no possibility to know what they are charged of, and they are kept in prison. What can you call such a thing? The
Hostages Families Forum are calling for Trump to be given the Nobel Prize. And Ehud Olmert was suggesting that might be a way of keeping him engaged. You know, that if he gets that prize, if he's told he's going to get it, then he can't walk away from this. He can't let Israel slip back into bombing Gaza. Do you believe there's something in that?
Well, I think that Trump has a lot of prizes coming from that agreement if it happens, including the relations with the Gulf world and the billions that are given to him and to his families. He doesn't need any more prizes, especially the Nobel Prize, which is supposed to be for someone who really did something in order to bring peace. Whatever his initiative now, I hope it's going to bring ceasefire. I'm not sure it's going to bring peace. Because peace is not only ceasefire, it's not only not militant action.
Yes, what do you make of the words in the plan which just talk about, you know, eventually there may be a way into Palestinian statehood? I mean, do you believe that is a serious way of addressing this question?
No, of course it wasn't a serious way, and it was an agreement between Trump and Netanyahu. Good for them. That's the treatment of peace between Netanyahu and Trump. The Palestinians were not there in that agreement. Nobody asked them what they want. And actually, when they are talking about the Palestinians, there is no guarantees, neither for full withdrawal of the Israeli army. The Palestinians don't need a new British mandate like Tony Blair, and they need to have guarantees to establish their own state.
Right, but Hamas, the sticking point is also whether it will disarm. Do you want Hamas to disarm?
It's not up to me to disarm or not to disarm. The question today is why nobody is also saying a full withdrawal of an army and a state that is still occupying another
but
state.
If you were to
just
get
a minute,
full withdrawal,
just a minute.
Would you support disarmament?
I think that at a certain point when there will be a Palestinian state, the army will be the army of the state. But first you need to end the situation of occupation and then to talk about arms of different groups. The question today is not only the weapons of Hamas. I don't want to see any weapons, any destruction, any military actions from both sides. But for my regret, today nobody is talking about the fact that the genocide is still going on, that the killing is still going on. You mentioned that in the beginning, and everybody is talking as if peace is already here.
Aida, Suleiman, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, it's been a controversial topic for the last 2 years, but the UK government says it has blocked arms exports to Israel that could be used by the IDF in Gaza. Last week, our fact-check team exclusively revealed that Israel's imports of UK arms hit a record high value in June. Now we can reveal new figures showing September was the second highest month on record. Our data correspondent, Kieran Jenkins, has the details.
Well, exclusive analysis by our fact-check team shows Israel's arms imports from the UK have hit record high values in recent months. This comes as the government is under increasing pressure to impose a full arms embargo. This data is from Israel's tax authority, showing the value of arms imports from the UK. Now, any company in the UK wanting to sell arms abroad has to apply for a licence. And in September last year, the government suspended 29 out of 350 licences to export arms to Israel, stopping, they say, any items used by the IDF in Gaza. But some arms sales did continue. And as we exclusively revealed last week, Israel said it received £408,000 worth of arms from the UK in June. And that was the highest monthly value since these customs records began back in January 2022. And we can now exclusively reveal that those high-value exports are continuing. September here was the second highest month on record, with £316,000 worth of arms from UK firms passing through Israeli customs. We don't know exactly what the items were or who their end user was, but they were listed under a category which includes bombs, missiles, and ammunition, as well as parts for these items. Now, despite suspending some licenses, by July this year, UK firms held 347 active licenses to export arms to Israel, 167 of which were explicitly military licenses. And some recent licenses that we've identified cover items like grenade launchers, parts for mortars, and parts for missiles. We asked the government what exactly was in the shipments we uncovered and who they were for, if not the IDF. It didn't provide any more detail on their contents, nor did the Israeli government, it said, for confidentiality reasons. The UK government told us, though, that we do not export bombs or ammunition for IDF use in military operations in Gaza or the West Bank. It said the data we've highlighted includes items which are for civilian use only or not staying in Israel. And it said that it has taken all possible steps to prevent licensing exports that could possibly be used by the IDF to perpetrate the ongoing horror in Gaza.